So good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
So I'm Chad. I'm with FEMA, and I've been working closely with Kelvin here in the territory for close to 3 months now. And Matt has joined us. He's come over to provide some of his guidance and support as well. And I've worked with Matt on many disasters. So exactly what Cusa said. There's a lot going on in the rumor mill. Don't believe the rumor mill. The rumor mill is what it is. The rumors. We were talking before everybody showed up, myself, Kelvin, and Cusa. Everybody's situation is completely different. Everybody's household is different. Everybody's damages are different. Everybody's income is different. Everybody's family size is different. So everybody's situation is completely different. So those that, your neighbors that maybe got $15,000 from FEMA and SBA, that's their particular situation, and that was what they were eligible for. That doesn't mean that you're going to be eligible for it, or you may be eligible for more. So don't believe the rumors. Number two, what Cusa said is, we have the resources here. We want people to come and ask us questions. We have those recovery centers. Currently, there's 3 of them here. We recently closed the one at the Cotton Valley Fire Station, and that was that was the governor's decision, that's FEMA's decision, to close that station because there was very limited traffic that was going there. So we've taken those, we've shut that fire station down, and we've moved those resources to other areas and to our other recovery centers that we're getting more traffic, which is the church up in Sunny Isle, the Rotary Club over in Frederickstead, and then we have the one at the old post office down in Christiansted. The Christiansted one has been one of our more high trafficked ones because it was one of the first ones that we opened up when everything was taking place. That's where our subject matter experts are at. You have questions, you have challenges, you have concerns, you don't understand the process. We understand it's time consuming, but that's where you need to go. You can always call the 1-800 number, which is the 1-800-621-3362. That's our helpline number. You can always call that number to ask questions, but there's still some challenges with that phone line. What I was telling some of the folks here before everybody came, I'm not making excuses for the federal government. I don't want to make excuses for SBA, who's our federal partner. But this has been a challenging year across the nation. We've had over 4 million plus registrations across the wildfires, Hurricane Harvey, the impacts to Florida, Georgia, the impacts to Puerto Rico. So we have over 4 million, close to 4 million, probably even higher, maybe 4.5 million people that have registered for federal assistance this year. So there's a lot of folks that are in the system, and they're all having the same challenges that you all are having here in the Caribbean. Again, everybody's situation is different. It's we understand it's hard being patient, but things are moving along. For example, we as the federal government on the FEMA side, we have provided almost $39 million on the streets, and that's to homeowners and renters. FEMA, we provide grants for those that are eligible for homeowners and renters. And then the business side, well, I'll let Kelvin talk about that. He handles the homeowners, the renters, and the businesses, which is a loan. So FEMA side is the grant program, and we specifically are looking to help the homeowners and the renters on the individual assistance side. We also have what we call the public assistance side, which you're going to start hearing more about here after the first of the year. But the public assistance side is geared towards more infrastructure. It's dealing with the road repairs. It's dealing with the power WAPA, the debris that's out there in the territory. That's more the public assistance side. It's not for the general public, but it's to make that infrastructure for the public better and enhance it and repair it. So I'm just going to open this up. We have a small crowd here. So I'm just going to open it up for anybody who has questions on the FEMA side, and then I'll turn it over to Kelvin for the SBA side.
Everybody talk at one time now.
So a couple things that are going on. Cusa talked about the now letters. Okay, so the now letters are not the last word. Exactly what she said. I'm going to say, I'm just going to throw out a number here, 70–80% of those that the folks here that have received the now letters, there's a reasoning behind it, and usually it has to do with insurance. Insurance is one of the top reasons why. We as the federal government, going back, I've been doing this for 12 years now, going back to, let's just say, the Katrina days, we've learned that we can't put a whole lot of monies out onto the streets because it's too hard for us to get our monies back. And we don't want to duplicate benefits. If you have insurance and insurance is going to cover you, let's have that tax-paying dollars. That's what FEMA is, the grant money, that's tax-paying dollars. Let's use that money for those folks that didn't have the insurance coverage or didn't have the capabilities to protect themselves, okay? So we don't like to duplicate benefits. So we may give you a little bit of monies at the front end whenever you register, just to get you by and get you going. But we want to wait to see what your insurance coverage is going to do, okay? And then the second part of that, denial letters is there's a lot of challenges here in the Caribbean on addresses and who has the rights to properties, and there's a lot of, and it's so a lot of the denial letters that you're going to hear about, or maybe you have experienced, or maybe your friends and families have experienced, it's usually because of additional documentation that's needed. You know, the proof of ownership of the home, who has what ties to what parts of the property, and then again, the insurance issues. Again, we FEMA don't want to duplicate benefits. We've learned over the years it's too hard to take our monies back or to come and get our monies back. So we just want to make sure that we do it the right way in the front end. So once you get your insurance decision, you get turned down by FEMA, you do get your insurance decision, it's just taking it down to one of the recovery centers and saying, hey, I finally received my insurance documentation. They're going to cover X, Y, Z. Can we upload this into my case, into my profile? And they have those capabilities down there at these recovery centers to upload that information into the system and then to let the process continue to work for you. So then the next step after you receive that, after you've registered, most people, I'm going to say most people, are going to get referred over to SBA. And SBA, understanding that FEMA is the grant side, which is the free money, FEMA is a small portion of the money. There's not a lot of monies that come from FEMA. On normal circumstances, the average homeowner, average renter may see somewhere maybe close to $3,000–4,000. That's on normal circumstances, and that's a rough number. Each area, each territory, each state, it differs. FEMA is a small amount of money. Our goal is to make sure you have a safe, secure, sanitary home, and making sure that you have a roof over your head, 4 walls, and you're able to move into your home and live in your home without any health concerns, making sure you have heat, electricity, air conditioning, not so much heat here. Back home we need a lot of heat right now.
Yeah, we take good heat.
But it's to make sure you have a safe, secure, sanitary home. You know, I'm one of those ones, I'll explain things truthfully. You know, if you have 5 or 6 TVs, FEMA's not concerned about paying for 5 or 6 TVs. We only need 1 TV to live. You know, you have, you know, a carpet. Do you really need carpet in your home to live? You know, that's the things that we look at. So, you know, we're not going to build you a new home, you know, on your damages. You know, that's not what the FEMA side's for. That's where you're going to get a lot. If you qualify for SBA, that's where they come in, because SBA, they get all the money. The downside is you have to pay them back. They didn't bring any money with them.
Sure.
But you know, so FEMA's the first stage for homeowners and renters again, and then a lot of folks will be turned over to SBA to see what they qualify, or if they qualify for SBA. So I know some folks here have been disqualified by SBA, which kicks folks back over to FEMA. They send you back to FEMA for additional referrals, additional programs that we have, and that's called our Other Needs Assistance Programs, which can help with some of your storage issues, medical, dental, funeral, child care, Maybe it's car replacement or issues with the car was damaged during a disaster. There's many different things that the other needs assistance programs can assist with. And then we look at your case a little bit more in depth. Once if you're kicked over to FEMA or kicked over to SBA, and SBA turns around and sends you back to FEMA for additional assistance. On the business side of it, so again, we encourage everybody to register with FEMA. If you're a business and your business was only impacted and your home was perfectly fine, you don't necessarily have to come to FEMA. You can go and visit SBA, you can talk to SBA, you can call SBA on your own. You don't have to come to FEMA. The reason why we tell everybody, including business owners, even though businesses, FEMA doesn't assist the business community financially, the reason why we encourage everybody to register with FEMA is we know here in the territory and across the nation, there's a lot of people who have home-based businesses. So if your business is a home-based business, you're impacted in two different ways. So again, FEMA wants to help the homeowners and renters out there. So if you are a business that has your home, or you use your home as your business, now you're impacted in two different categories. So we want to make sure that you're taken care of on the FEMA side, and then we refer you over to the business side over to SBA. That's the reason why we just utilize FEMA as that one-stop shop to start off the process. But again, you can tell your friends, families out there that if they were just financially impacted business-wise, and it was their business that was damaged, whether it's physically or economically, you can go straight to SBA, and they're not going to have a problem with that. So again, anybody have any questions?
Yeah. Suppose FEMA say no and SBA say no.
Yes, sir. So you're going to go back to FEMA.
So you keep going back and forth.
No. So if SBA says no, first off, you have to find out why SBA said no.
Right.
And he can assist that, and that's what our recovery centers can assist with. And you should get documentation in the mail that should say, this is the reason why you're being turned down by FEMA, or this is the reason why you're being turned down by SBA. There's documentation that comes out there. If you don't understand the legal documentation, which I can't understand it, then that's where you can go to these recovery centers and speak to somebody one-on-one that can actually pull up your case, and then they can explain it to you in person. So once you're turned down by SBA and you're talking as a homeowner or a renter, you go back to FEMA and they're going to start looking at your case to see what else that we can do to assist with you, or who we're going to refer you to for additional assistance, which is our faith-based organizations, our community-based organizations. I know there's long-term recovery organizations that are starting to develop across St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. That's where they come in. That's where some of the donated monies come in from all the different fundraisers that are out there. That's where that part of that other needs assistance comes from. You know, we work with them. If there's stuff that FEMA can't cover, we refer you over to the American Red Cross. We'll refer you back over to FEMA and these long-term recovery committees and other non-profitable organizations, again, that have, raised monies or had donated monies come into the territory to help people that, didn't qualify for all the FEMA programs, or their situations above and beyond what FEMA and SBA can assist with.
I don't have a lot of questions as yet because my process just I submitted my application and then they came to do the inspection. How long does that process take after the inspection?
So normal circumstances is usually 7 to 10 business days. Okay, roughly. Again, the process is way behind. Okay, because everybody across the nation that has applied for federal assistance. So you're looking at probably 2-3 weeks. So if you recently just did your application, you just recently got your inspection, you're still looking at some time. What I've been telling people is, if you received your inspection today, give it about a week and a half. If you haven't heard anything, go to the recovery center. Right now, our plan is the registration deadline for FEMA. I think everybody here is registered, correct? Everybody's already registered? Okay, so if you have family, friends out there that are still contemplating on whether they should register or not, the new registration deadline is January 8th. The governor has asked, FEMA has asked us to extend it through the holidays. So right now, the 3 DRCs, the disaster recovery centers, are going to be open up and close to January 8th. just be mindful, the next couple weekends, we may alter our hours of operation due to the holidays, with Christmas coming up, New Year's coming up, so the weekend hours may be altered a little bit. But they're open, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5, and just keep an eye out with the media. The media here's been awesome. I've been working with Kelvin and some of the media outlets here. They're keeping everybody informed, so just listen to the radio. If you can, you'll see if any of the hours change on the weekends. But I encourage them to go to those recovery centers, because they have the capabilities of registering you there, and they have the capabilities of answering any of those questions. And again, if you just received your inspections, we're still working on inspections. It's been challenging for inspectors because you all don't use addresses here.
Yes.
So we partnered with the Virgin Islands National Guard, who have been helping us trying to find people. Or we've just been calling you on the phone and say, hey, can you meet us at the Kmart and take us to your home? That has worked as well. So it's been a partnership. It's been a learning experience for us. Let's never do it again. I went to Guam a couple years ago to prepare for a typhoon, and I fell in love with it. That was my first trip ever leaving the States. And I fell in love with Guam, and I thought it was very unique, and I said I have to get down to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And I was supposed to come here a couple years ago on a cruise, but South Carolina got hit with a hurricane. So I always wanted to come here. This is not how I wanted to come here.
We'll take you anyhow.
And I look forward to coming back whenever everybody has, once we get everything
But you have
fixed.
to go back to come back.
Yeah, I have to go back and come back.
All right.
It's a lot warmer here than it is back home right now. As I said, it's 23 degrees back home right now with about 4 or 6 inches of snow. So it is beautiful here. I've been here for 3 months, close to 3 months with my colleagues here from SBA. And our goal is to try to make it bigger and better in many different aspects. Economically, tourism-wise, we're hoping to do some things with the power grid, fixing the roads, getting people back into homes, and so forth. So if you see FEMA shirts, ask questions. Not everybody knows everything. Again, your best place to go, best place to refer family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, is those recovery centers. That's where the subject matter experts are. They have that capability to look up your case. All you have to do is provide them that 9-digit number. That 9-digit number, document, take pictures, keep receipts of stuff that you're buying for repairing your home, replacing things, keep those receipts because those will be beneficial. I tell everybody, just start creating a little folder for yourself. Business-wise, I do the private sector side. I do a lot of communication with the business community. That's the side of FEMA I work with. And again, it's to educate the businesses on how to prepare and then how to help their employees. If you don't have employees, your business is probably not going to go so well. On the employee side, disaster unemployment assistance, which is federally funded, but it's being ran by the Department of Labor here in the territory. So their deadline's December 29th, which is fast approaching. So those folks that have been out of work, lost their job, lost their business, those are the folks that need to touch base with the Department of Labor and register for what they call disaster unemployment assistance. We call it DUA. And basically you try to see if you qualify for your regular unemployment first. And if you don't qualify, you don't have the criteria, you probably get kicked over to what they call the disaster unemployment assistance. And that's where we again, it's a federally funded program, but it's administered by the Department of Labor here in the territory. Again, any questions?
Yeah, I have one I just thought of. It's a melee, so I want you to clear up the melee. Who said Chris? Wasn't it Chris said? Cusa. So I know she's educating you on the melee. One of the things that I heard, and I believe when I spoke to someone from FEMA, I understood, but since you're here, I own a senior care home that takes person.
Mm-hmm.
So the very next day after the storm, everyone came to the place. Oh, you need to call FEMA, you need to call FEMA, because FEMA have to bring your generator. FEMA have to bring your generator. And of course I looked into it. So I wanted you to tell me, is that so? Would that have been possible?
So there is that possibility. I'm not gonna give you a yes/no answer.
Okay.
So when we come in at the front end of disasters, we work, first off, let me start over 1 second. So when FEMA comes in, we're a guest of the governor and guest of the territory by FEMA, the Virgin Islands Emergency Management. FEMA's not here to take over. We're coming in because the territory itself does not have the capabilities of handling the disaster. So that's where we come in as a mutual aid and as the federal partner, and we bring a lot of stuff to the table. So at the front of a disaster, we provide generator support, we provide things for wastewater treatment plants. But those decisions come from the governor and from team. They tell us where to put this, where to put that. And at the front of the disaster, what we're looking at is those critical infrastructures, your hospitals, the wastewater treatment plants. You know, here you don't have, I don't think you have like dams or levees or anything like that. But we're looking at things like that, you know, that's extra protective measures. And that's, again, that's stuff that's covered under what I said earlier, that public assistance side, which is the infrastructure. You know, where you're assisting with some of the power restoration, getting the airport back up and running. You know, when FEMA comes in, we have the capabilities of bringing other federal partners in, and that's where we brought in some of our military partners in to help the Coast Guard, Air Force came in to assist, because FEMA can't do it by herself. FEMA's not here. Nobody in FEMA over the last several years can sit here and say that we FEMA are going to be able to handle this all by ourselves. We partner with the Army Corps of Engineers. We partner with DOD, Department of Defense, and all of our military partners because they have capabilities, they have knowledge, and they have the resources and the manpower to bring it in. FEMA's only so big. You know, when FEMA comes into a disaster, especially something of this significant, the only two guarantees is when we come in, they're coming in. Again, they get all the money. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Does that
and
answer
that
your
helps
question?
because the gentleman did say that, but I met him on the outside, you know, he mentioned that, which made sense to me as well too, but I figured since everybody's here, I would throw it out the question.
So recently our administrator came down, the new administrator for FEMA, Minister Brock Long. He's new, and he came on board just as all the hurricanes were starting, so that was his initiation. So he's had a lot to deal with since he's come in. So he was recently here last week, and then one of the things he said, and one of our goals is, and our federal coordinating officer and the territory coordinating officer, which is Mona Barnes. You know, we have 7 months to get everybody back up and running, get people back into their homes, and at the same time get prepared for the next hurricane season. So you know, this is an education piece of it as everybody's recovering. It's for you all to understand how the process works, how the federal government works, how SBA comes in and how they play a role into it, and it's an educating on how the whole process works, where to go to get those needs whenever you have a specific business entity, industry. You know, personal care homes, some of them are considered that critical need, so that's where you would have to work with the territory by team emergency management to put plans in place in the future and have those discussions with Mona and her team.
And I don't think most of the community understands that we have that direct link to FEMA, because of course FEMA is here and everything is FEMA this, FEMA that, FEMA the other. And we also don't understand that FEMA is just the hub that everybody works, that you work with everybody else.
So if you can say that to the camera, that it's not all FEMA. And I talked to Mona. I work at the office with Mona, and you know, we had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and FEMA has been lost in this. You know, there's not a lot of conversation, but FEMA had a lot to do with Irma and dealing with what was going on in St. John and in St. Thomas. And you know, St. Croix was that kind of staging area when Irma hit, because St. Croix didn't get hit really by Irma. So you know, things were going along okay, and then Maria came along and just threw everything, tore everything apart. So FEMA, you know, they have had a lot to deal with. And so they've done some good things. And again, they're our partners. So whenever people talk about FEMA, they should be talking about FEMA as well. You know, it should be that same. It's FEMA, SBA, and then your voluntary organizations. You know, you have the American Red Cross, who has done some very wonderful things, and some of your faith-based organizations here across the territory.
So I just have something to ask. My name is Monique. Good morning again. I am the Senior Loan Officer of the Economic Development Bank under EDA, which Cusa and I work closely together. To the extent of your question, the type of business that you have, is it individual living assistance where you go to their home, or you have a home where all the seniors reside?
All the seniors reside, yeah.
Okay, and I guess because Cusa is more familiar with you than I am, so did you receive that assistance that you need for the seniors in terms of the generator you questioned?
No.
Or?
No, I did not. I didn't. I had a generator at the time. I had a smaller one, and I really didn't stress it too much because I had a big one on the way. So I just generally asked the question one day I was at the center, and because someone had mentioned it to me, I just asked a general question. So I didn't really push into it because I didn't have the need even at the time, but I just wanted to make it clear for my understanding, maybe in the future or somebody else, so that we understand that in fact there is a process. You can go to FEMA if it ever comes up again.
But my question is also, what you have now, is it compatible to operate?
Absolutely.
To facilitate
Yes,
all
yes,
needs?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because you want to make sure you get the right assistance.
Yes, and I
because
appreciate
there's a lot of
that.
shut-in and there's a lot of elderly that we have not gotten to as yet. So if anything, we maybe could refer her somewhere else that she could, look into that
Yeah, I
question
appreciate
she
that.
asked. Okay, great.
And again, a lot of people didn't know that you could go to FEMA or ask us.
Right, and that's why I wanted
No,
to
but a
make
lot
sure
of
that-
people here in the territory didn't know. The business owners, your hospitals and your wastewater, your water treatment plants, they understand that. But a lot of those other sectors that are out there didn't know that you could just pick up the phone and say, Mona or somebody at FEMA, here's my situation, can you give me some guidance? That's what they're there for. That's what emergency management is for.
We just think it's FEMA.
Everybody thinks it
Not
can
even SBA, it's just FEMA.
Folks, I will say that it can say American Red Cross on the side of it, but they're gonna still say that it's FEMA. Okay, I've been doing this long enough. SBA could be standing there and with his blue shirt on, they'll point to him and say FEMA. So, it happens all the time. Everybody, and it's not just here. It's across the country, everything is FEMA. The good and the bad. And, we kind of take it, but it's an education process, especially if you haven't dealt with FEMA in a very long time. And fortunately, you all haven't really had to deal with FEMA for many years. What was the last one? Maryland or something?
Maryland.
Was
95.
Maryland?
Maryland.
This is
So
my
it's-
first, actually.
So it's been a long time, and hopefully again, never again. Okay, so we're gonna just have that conversation with Mother Nature and say, let's not do that ever again, because this was a whole lot this year. So I'm gonna. If nobody else has any other questions, I'm gonna stay here the whole time. We got a small enough crowd here. Make sure we get everybody's questions answered if we can. And what my takeaway from these, or my goals from these meetings that I've been doing with Kelvin here over the last several weeks, is to provide you with some answers to your questions, but also to educate everybody here. You're now part of that FEMA team where you can go back into your community and you can communicate what you've learned to dispel these rumors that have been going on. Because there's been many rumors that are out there.
And a good one here.
And a lot of misunderstanding.
But how often do you have these meetings? Because I look around the table and I would see this gentleman as a local and her as a local, but everybody else is representing a division of government. So the people for whom
I've only been here a decade. I'm not yet a local.
Nothing about man being right.
I'm talking about the people who really need the information, And I'm thinking, this is how you help to combat the misinformation that's out there. But the people for whom this was intended are not here. So is there a second layer that, in other words, what you're recording, are they going to see it somewhere else? Because otherwise they're just talking to ourselves and preaching to the choir, so to speak.
They're looking for me to bring it out.
Okay.
I'm a Calypsonian. So.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
Oh, okay, so I know the next calypso.
Oh, so we have the road march coming up.
That'll work,
We're gonna
okay.
have the FEMA road march.
You got that. You got that.
It's FEMA time.
So the,
What will happen with the video
Yeah.
is it'll go on YouTube, it will go on Facebook, and probably we will play it on WSBX, right? To ensure
Okay.
that it goes beyond, because this is a challenge. When I
Yeah.
have a radio show, everything otherwise will go up into the universe and wait for, aliens we haven't met yet to find out about it.
And so those mediums do work, because immediately after the storm, my daughter is here and I live in Florida. And I was able to go on those mediums and feed her back information. And I must say that a lot of good information was put out there. You have to be intelligent enough to know what's good and what's people just blowing smoke. But a lot of good information was put out there, the numbers to call and that type of thing. So don't stop what you're doing, but I really do wish more people would attend.
so at the very beginning, we partnered with the St. Croix Chamber of Commerce, and we had a couple information sessions and at the early stages, and it was pushed out there, and it was done kind of rapidly. So not everybody heard about it. I mean, we had some good turnouts at it, and we basically the same information that we're sharing here. Here, I'm going to give you another resource to monitor. If you're on Facebook and you have the Facebook capabilities, so on this particular event, we created our own Facebook page for the U.S. Virgin Islands. So you just go into the search bar and type in FEMA, U.S., and then spell out Virgin Islands. And you'll find the Facebook page that's dedicated just for everything that's here in the Caribbean. And everything that's being put on there, our social media team, everything that's going on that Facebook page, we put SBA stuff on there, we put the EPA stuff, the Environmental Protection Agency. I know they have a little, the pickup things that are going on for household appliances, waste. That's going on this weekend. So everything that all our other federal agencies are doing out there, we're putting on that Facebook page, and it's dedicated just for the Caribbean. You have the capabilities of asking questions or making comments, or if you're confused, and our social media team tries to monitor that to be able to get you the right answers and the right questions. 90% of the time, they're going to refer you to a disaster recovery center. Again, I don't want to repeat myself, but that's the place to go. You have those questions. You have concerns, there's issues out there, go to those recovery centers. And then your other option is your senators. Your senators are in the territory, your senators, commissioners.
And the calypsonians, don't forget.
Your senators and your commissioners are an avenue. They have the capabilities to come into us. We work directly with them, we try to educate them. We keep them on track with everything that's going on, so utilize them. They're an asset to you. They can get you answers and questions to your answers. Yeah, answers. Go ahead.
And I just want to, for the record, say that at the disaster recovery centers, as Chad mentions, SBA has staff there as well that can help anybody, homeowner, renter, or business, get that application completed and submitted. Or if you've been declined by SBA, you have the opportunity to meet with SBA and make a request for a reconsideration, where we can look at it again and you can maybe overcome those reasons why you were declined. But the Disaster Recovery Center is a very good place to get your questions answered, not only by FEMA, but with SBA and meet face to face.
Yeah, like I said, one guarantee is when FEMA comes in, we come in together. And where you're going to see FEMA, you're going to see SBA. We do everything in tandem. Again,
Partners.
they are our federal partner. They are our federal partner, and they got a lot more money than what FEMA has. The difference is our monies are grant and are free monies. Their monies are
low interest loan.
Low interest loan. And before Kelvin gets into SBA, I wanted my piece to promote SBA, because I've been working with these folks for a long time. SBA is not going to give you a loan and put you in harm's way financially. Their goal is to make sure you have some sort of capabilities of making a payment back and being able to recover. Okay, so they're here to help, not hinder, as Cusa said. You know, they're not gonna just give you a loan and set you up to fail. They're here to help you. And if they don't think that you're gonna be able to maintain it, or that you don't have the capabilities of handling that loan, they're not gonna give it to you. They're gonna refer you back to FEMA, or they're gonna refer you back to the Economic Development Authority, or they're gonna give you other options. Okay? Kelvin, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thanks, Chad. And again, as Chad said, he and I have been out actively in the community doing a lot of outreach events, churches, radio programs. I mean, we've been out and going door to door. So again, our goal is just to simply make sure that people understand how we work and how we work together. So on presidentially declared disasters such as this, Small Business Administration, SBA, we partner with FEMA to provide low interest, long-term loans to homeowners, renters, businesses of all sizes, and most private nonprofit organizations. So for homeowners who've received damage through the storm, for your primary property, you can apply for a loan for up to $200,000, and that is to repair or replace your primary residence. Interest rates as low as 1.75% and terms up to 30 years. Okay? If you're a renter or a homeowner and you've had your personal property that was either damaged or destroyed by the storm, then you can apply for up to $40,000 and to repair or replace your personal property. And we're talking about things such as furniture, bedding, appliances, even your automobile. And again, interest rates as low as 1.75% and with terms up to 30 years. Now, what's great about these loans, again, these are disaster loans, and our goal is to be able to assist those that have been impacted by the storms. Should you accept the loan, remember you don't have to accept the loan even if you're approved, but should you accept the loan, we have an 11th month grace period. So from the date that you sign your promissory note, you have 11 months, and on the anniversary date of signing the promissory note will be your first payment. So we're talking about next year, today would be the date of your first payment.
And supposing a next hurricane come, will you still continue paying?
He said,
If the next hurricane come by now, and when we supposed to start to pay,
okay, well
what will
again,
happen?
right, well the promissory note, from the date that you signed it, it's still that.
Promissory note.
Yeah, so that still won't change anything. So again, for that particular loan that you've actually signed, it will still be that time frame. So again, so you have 11 months where, regardless of it, hopefully we won't see another storm for a long time. So we won't even.
Okay, we just supposing
Yeah,
if it had to happen,
yeah.
and
Well,
then we get torn down again.
okay. Well, right now we're talking about
We'll
for
have to
those.
deal with that.
Yeah, we'll deal with
At
that.
the time.
Okay, good.
Hopefully you have insurance next time.
Yeah, but the main thing is we want people to understand that our goal again is to assist. So we're saying there's no prepayment penalty, there are no closing costs with our loan, and we're talking about an 11-month grace period. For a lot of people, that's an opportunity for them to be able to go ahead and get their recovery started right now. In addition to that is, because this is a loan, you don't have to wait until your insurance proceeds sell. So if you have insurance, still apply for SBA. We don't duplicate benefits, so you won't have to worry about that. So at the time that you would sign your promissory note, basically what you would do if you're due to receive insurance premiums or a payment is you would actually sign a form, and that would assign the monies that you would receive to SBA, so that once you receive that, we would just simply apply that to the loan to either pay off or pay down the loan, depending on the amount that you actually receive.
Okay, I have a next question. I have my actual home that is insured.
Yes.
I have 12 houses and they are wood houses.
Okay.
They are rental.
Okay.
Now, the insurance is, I can't insure the 2 wood houses because it's gonna cost more than what my actual house costs.
Sure.
Because it's wood.
Okay.
And wood around here is like an enemy to insurance unless you're gonna overpay.
Right.
Right. So in my case now I have 2 of my roof is half for the wood house.
Okay. And I'll be able to talk about that because again, if those are rental properties that you're on, then these are not your primary, so that will fall under our business guidelines, and I'll be able to talk about that as well too in terms of what's available to you for that. So yeah, so right now I'm just talking about just for your primary residence. Okay. So that's the great thing about it is that when you take a look at what we're offering and what's available to you, with interest rates as low as 1.75%, with having an 11-month grace period, it gives people options, and that's our objective. Is we want you to be able to know what your options are, because one of the things that a lot of homeowners are finding out, and especially being in this area, is that some people's deductibles are actually higher than the damages that they've actually received. Well, one of the things about our loans can be utilized to be able to help with deductibles. But we've had some people say, you know what, my deductible is $10,000-$15,000 and my damages are less than $5,000. So guess what? In their case, their insurance won't begin to assist them because again, they have to meet their deductible. And this time frame, their actual damages are actually less than what the deductible would be. So again, a lot of times people are finding out what it is that they actually have, which is more or less catastrophic coverage. And that's just simply so that they can afford the premiums. But in all actuality, based on the damages that they actually receive, really determines if whether or not the insurance is going to even be a benefit to them. So a lot of people are taking a look at what SBA actually has to offer.
What is the highest interest rate that you guys have?
Okay, so for homeowners, if you have what's called credit elsewhere, meaning that you may be able to, you may have insurance, or you may have other proceeds that you may have available to assist in your recovery, then our cap is 3.5%. Okay. So still, when you take a look at what's available, I've talked to several people who've actually started with their recovery, and some of them are putting things on credit cards and things of that nature. And we know, where can you find credit cards at 3.5% even? Yeah, it's going to be much higher. So again, so our cap even for that would be 3.5%.
Okay.
Okay. So again, SBA, we're not an option. We are your long-term recovery. What Chad explained to you, they help with the immediate. Safe, secure, sanitary. Our goal is to be able to help to bring this close to whole before the storm actually took place. So that's why we offer the long-term loans. And one of the things that we've been asked about, and these are some of the things that took place in times past in regards to other loans and how they looked, based upon Hurricane Hugo and some of the other things. Our loans are fixed for the entirety of the loan. So for the time that you actually have, when you sign the promissory note, you don't have to worry about your loan adjusting on you, okay? And you don't have to worry about, okay, well, I had the loan and now it's actually gone up, and now I'm not able to actually afford what I actually have. It is a fixed rate loan, so you don't have to concern yourself with that. So again, I know there were some concerns, we heard it out in the field, and we did want to be able to get clarity. And so at this time frame, not looking back on what happened in the past, there were other programs that are no longer in place, but the loan that you would receive would be a fixed rate loan, so it would be for the duration of the time that you actually have it. Okay? So that's what we have for on the homeowners and renter side. Now for businesses, and again, if you have a home outside of your primary home, what you consider as being, are these your rental properties that you actually have? Okay, so what we have for businesses, and these are businesses of all sizes, a business may apply for a loan for up to $2 million to repair or replace the physical property, inventory, machinery, those things. Now, these are going to be for your actual verified damages. So when we say up to $2 million, that's the cap. So based upon your damages, though, you can apply for up to $2 million. Okay. Interest rates as low as 3.305% in terms up to 30 years. Okay. In addition to that, we have what's called our economic injury disaster loan. For short, these are working capital loans. This is the capital needed to keep you in business until things can return back to as close to normal or to before the storm actually took place. We're talking about paying for payroll. We're talking about inventory. We're talking about those things that are a necessity to keep the business afloat. one of the things that we've had an opportunity to do as public affairs specialists is that we've actually gone door to door. A lot of the communication issues in terms of trying to call people on the phone or internet, of course, we know we've had challenges with that. So we go door to door. So we're talking to business owners every single day. So when you want to take a look at what this economic injury actually look like, I actually visited with a business, and very established business. They've been there for quite some time. And she stated, this was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and she was getting prepared to actually close. And she said that for that day, she had made less than $4 in revenue for that day on a business that's been really sustained by tourists because of the type of business that she has. But that day, she had made less than $4. So right now, she's having to utilize her own personal resources just to try to keep things afloat. She's had to scale down her staff just to be able to maintain. That's economic injury. One of the things about our economic injury loans is you don't have to necessarily have any physical damage to your property in order to apply. We're talking about what has it done to the actual revenue of your business based upon the effects of the storm itself. The great thing about our economic injury loans is because we realize right now there are some businesses that are still doing relatively fine because there's still a lot of people on the islands. Some of the hotels are doing really well. I mean, because again, we've busting at the seams and stuff. We have people on ships. We have people, here for the territory. So again, they're doing really well right now. But what happens when we begin to start to leave? Restaurants have been doing pretty good, in most cases. But what happens when things begin to kind of return back to normal? How long will it take before tourism is back and business is back to normal? That's called economic injury. So for that purpose, our economic injury disaster loans, the deadline for that is June 20th, 2018. Because again, some businesses right now are experiencing that impact, but some it may be a little later. So we want to be able to make sure that people have the opportunity to really assess that impact. So we have that, and when you think about it, not being without power for 2 to 3 months, not being able to open, having businesses that really have just had to shut down completely, they've been impacted. So we want the businesses to know that we're here for them, to be able to assist them with working capital, to make sure that they're able to stay in business and be able to do what is needed until things can return back to prior to the storm. So even beyond our physical damage deadline, which is January the 8th, we do have our economic injury disaster loans. With those loans, a business can apply for up to $2 million for their economic injury. And again, with interest rates as low as 3.305% and terms up to 30 years. And again, we're able to help assess based upon profit and loss statements and other things to be able to take a look and see exactly where you were, let's say for instance, the past year or the past 2 years especially. That's why good record keeping is very, very good for a business to be able to know exactly what you've been doing over the last year or the past year. But even if you're a new business, we're able to also kind of take a look at projections as well too, to be able to assist businesses, because there are some businesses that were just about to open when the storm hit. Mm-hmm. So they've been delayed. They've signed leases, they're still having to make payment, but what they were expecting to do, they haven't been able to actually do that. We're able to assist them as well too. So again, we don't want anyone to feel like there's no assistance or help for them. The most important thing to do is to understand what's available and then to be able to come in and actually see exactly how we can assist you with those needs. Matt, would you like to share some things as well?
Just reiterate the physical deadline date is
Okay.
the same.
Yeah, the physical deadline date is the same as with FEMA. So for January the 8th, that is the deadline. If you have not registered with SBA or registered with FEMA and actually applied for a loan with SBA, the physical deadline damage is January the 8th. So the two of those actually coincide. And then of course our economic injury is June the 20th of 2018. But what we tell people, you don't have to wait to that time frame. If you're experiencing that now, go ahead and apply. And again, there are opportunities to be able to make adjustments, to be able to take a look But right now, a lot of businesses, some of them are faring well, but then there are others that are really been feeling the impact of it, and we want to be able to make sure that they're aware of it. That's why we've partnered up with the Economic Development Authority, because again, they know a lot of the businesses, you know, personally, because they're here and they're working with them all the time. We want them to be able to know what's available, dispel all of the rumors and all those types of things. So we've been able to go out with Cusa and Melissa to be able to really get out into the community to be able to see, here's what's taking place. And so people have been very receptive because, again, they see locals and they know that, hey, we're here with you and we're here to be able to assist as a partner and to be able to make sure that the recovery can take place now as opposed to later. Because sometimes what happens is people will kind of sweep things under the rug and kind of let things go by. And once those deadlines are gone, then it's like, wow, you know what? I missed out on an opportunity. And we don't want people to say, well, you know what? There was help that was available, but I didn't really go out to find out what was available for me. So again, that's why we're recording. Our goal is, hey, however we can get it out. We know the holiday time frame's coming up and festive time and all of that is great. And we want to be able to see all that take place. But we do realize that there's still a lot of people that still have not. They're kind of on the fence right now and haven't done so. We want to be able to make sure that while we're here, please take advantage of the resources that are available. We're here to answer questions. Chad and I have been doing a lot of outreach together, and again, we just want to be able to make sure that when we come across things that maybe fall outside of our scope, then what we want to also do is make sure that if there's any local resources, and this is where I'm telling the segue for Heather. We were doing a business workshop, and Heather was there and was just talking about all the things that they do here for free.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the number of businesses that I've gone in that it reeked of mold as soon as you got close before you even entered in. And a lot of them were just kind of paralyzed right now, not really knowing what to do. They're waiting on, you know, where's the assistance going to come. And I meet Heather and she's telling me about all of what she does, and she does it for free. And I'm like, who knows? who knows about this? So again, our job is to make sure we link arms, and whatever the needs may be, let's make sure that that information is being made available to the public. We've had a chance to work with Doug Canton, who's been, I mean, anytime we've needed to get on air and just really talk about it, Doug is really out in the community and voicing to the airways, hey, here's the assistance that's available to you. And so we wanted to be able to get on and talk about what we're going to be doing today, but I also wanted to be able to make sure that Heather was here to really just kind of talk about what's available for those that have mold damage currently right now. And I mean, mold damage can be a very significant cost because the longer you let it sit, the more damage it causes, and time is of the essence in terms of getting rid of it, as well as health challenges that can be caused as well too. So again, educating the public about what's available, where to go, how to get it, and especially we're working with EDA and then all the local resources that will be here even after we've gone.
Right.
People really need to be able to do that. So Matt, do you have anything to add?
That's good. You covered a lot. Everything.
Kelvin, can you talk about the 25,000 unsecured?
Yes. Also too, with our loans.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. We have what's called, these are non-collateralized loans. So up to $25,000, you don't need collateral in order to receive a loan. So up to $25,000 does not require collateral. Above that, collateral is what we would actually look for. Although even if a person does not, that does not automatically turn someone down. But the first $25,000 is a loan that is available to you, and you don't require collateral in order to qualify for them. And yes,
It's just
just a
their
signature. Yeah, so just like a signature loan. Yeah, so just a signature is all that's required. So again, when you take a look, for certain people, $25,000 would go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the interest rate on that? What's the interest rate on that?
It's the same interest rate. Yeah, so as low as 1.75% for if it's primary, and then from business size as low as 3.305%. So again, that's the information we want to be able to make sure that people are aware of. One other additional thing is when we talk about mitigation, we're talking about how can we help mitigate against further damage should another storm take place. So what we have is, whether it's primary or for the business side, whatever those uninsured losses are, so whatever we determine that to actually be, you can apply for up to 20% above that amount. And this is for mitigation. So let's say, for instance, if it was $100,000 worth of damages. So you can actually look at applying for an additional $20,000, and that's to help with mitigation. We're talking about storm shelters.
Okay.
We're talking about a safe house. We're talking about if there's relocating utilities or even elevation. So again, for those that are looking to say, you know what, there are some things that I really need to look at that could really help me moving forward to help mitigate for another future loss. Well, with our loans, that is something that can actually be looked at as well too. So at the time of making the application, if you have an interest in that, then that's something that could be looked at to see if mitigation would be available for you as well too. So again, we just want people to get the facts, know the information. I always tell people there's really two things you need to know. Number one, know what you know. And number two, know what you don't know. If you get those two things covered right there, you cover everything. Know what you know and know what you don't know.
And I just want to add to what Kelvin says, because like I said, I've worked a lot with SBA over the years. You know, they have more monies than FEMA. Okay.
That is, he has feelings about that.
He says that.
And here's what they can do now. You know, like Kelvin says, the goal right now is to start your process now. Not wait to that registration deadline.
Right.
Because with SBA, they can sit there and they can see if you see what you qualify for. And one of the key things with them is they can say, okay, you qualify for $50,000. Okay, that's great. You don't have to take it right off the bat. They have some waiting weeks where you know you need to sit there and decide where you're going to go, and you don't have to take the whole $50,000.
Right.
If you only want $20,000 out of that because you're getting your insurance monies and so forth, they work with you. And like I said, SBA's not here. Everybody sees the loan side, and nobody wants a loan. They want the free monies. Again, there's very little free money, okay, because that's tax-paying dollars, and it's utilized all the time. And our goal is to get you back in that safe, secure, sanitary function. As far as the homeowners and renters, that's where SBA comes in, and they put a lot of options on the table, and they're not going to give you an option that they don't think that you're going to benefit from.
Yeah. And
what would be the deadline if is approved? How long it take before you decide that you want it? You have a deadline on that?
well, if you're approved for a loan, then you have to sign for that loan within 60 days. So you have within 60 days to basically, because after that point, then it expires pretty much from that point. So you have within 60 days in order to decide.
But let me go one step further.
Okay, good.
Okay, let's say that in that first 60 days, you haven't made a decision.
Right.
Now this sounds a little harsh, but SBA will cancel the loan. However, once the loan is canceled, you have 6 months to come back and say, can you reinstate my loan?
Right.
So you really have 8 months.
Good, that's what I really
You see?
want to find.
So even though if you don't make that decision in the first 2 months, we will cancel the loan, but then it opens another window and you have 6 months to come back and request for us to reinstate it. So it's literally 8 months.
But upon the reinstatement, is everything stays the same, or you have to go back through some verification process, more income statement?
No, I don't. You might have to, on the business side, provide some current financials, but that would be about it.
So generally the 4506T, which is the IRS transcript, yes, because again, from that time frame there, we just have to make sure that income and all that information is still the same. So that would be still a requirement, is the 4506T. A new transcript would have to be pulled for that time frame. Right now, to date, we've actually approved over $150 million for the territory. So again, when we initially came in, one of the challenges was, nobody wants a loan. You're not gonna have, but again, our job is just to simply assist people. And once people actually have an opportunity to understand what their options are,
Of course.
then they're able to take a look and say, you know what? Low interest. I take a look at, some people were underinsured, so they had insurance, but they were underinsured. Some people realized their contents of their home was not covered through their insurance. So there were a lot of gaps and holes that people really had never looked at before until now. And they realized, like, whoa, you know what? SBA is really is a good option.
I know one
Yeah,
company
it was,
that had full insurance for their vehicles, and turns out there was a loophole that didn't cover vehicle glass replacement. And of course, yeah.
You find the smallest of things when it's time for people to pay out on stuff. It's like, you've been collecting these premiums for quite some time, but
Yeah, that's the scary
It's the
part.
fine
That's
print
what those
sometimes.
premiums
So-
gonna be.
so one of the things that we
Would you all
Mhm.
give money to pay out a bank? If like a mortgage. Say I have a mortgage.
Right.
Could I come to you all and say, well, my mortgage is $95,000 and I need $100,000 to pay the bank off?
No, well, remember, our loans are simply designed to help repair, replace your property. So, in terms of
They're not refinancing your mortgage.
In certain
When it goes
instances,
bad.
in certain circumstances, okay? In certain circumstances, based upon your financial information that you've provided to us, as a homeowner or as a business, if you have 40% or more uninsured loss, we will automatically look at your situation to see if we can pay off your mortgage, okay? But it's gonna depend upon the amount of damage you have and the amount of that damage that's uninsured loss. And then we can pay off that mortgage, your first mortgage, and then it all wraps into one loan at that low rate, so that you can afford to repay your previous mortgage and to make the repairs. Okay?
so it's not just based on, so it's based upon the amount of damage, that's right.
40% or more uninsured loss in order for us to even look to see if we can do that. Okay?
Because with this insurance, they have a tendency to say that underinsured.
Mhm.
Underinsured, that means whatever money you get, you can't bring back your property anyhow. Because you don't get enough. Say the property is gone, but it was, say, $200,000 to replace it.
Right.
And the money that they gave you from the insurance can't do that.
Right.
That's the part how it comes in.
Yes. We can look at that. We look at each one of those, every loan that comes in, every application. And that's why it's so important to get your application in. That's the most important thing, is to get the application submitted. Let us make that determination. Let us look at all the options that we can do to help you make your recovery and put you back to what you were prior to the storm.
So FEMA can't do that.
Yeah, they don't have any money.
Can a business apply for both of the loans, both the physical damage and the working capital loan?
yeah.
They can use?
Absolutely. And the great part about it too, especially for business owners, our business recovery center in the Zion Farm Shopping Center, you can actually take care of both your physical and your for your personal as well as for your business right there. So so that's another great benefit for those that are business owners, and we're able to take care of everything right there at that.
But that counts out to $2 million, right?
Yes,
For business.
yeah, for business.
For business.
Just for business.
Kelvin, if you may, share with us, since this is going to be live on Facebook. We went to a business the other day, and where we came across a gas station owner where he leased that property, but the business the property itself isn't his, the structure itself isn't his. He's actually leasing, he came behind of other tenants. Share with us, and there's some of the damages we came across. Share with us exactly how SBA would assist both tenant and owner.
Right. Yeah, so the owner itself would be responsible for the physical structure. Okay? So if the owner who is separate from the actual business owner who is leasing the property, the owner would be responsible for a loan or applying for a loan for the actual physical structure. Now, the tenant who is there, the contents of the actual business, they would be able to actually apply for a business loan to be able to actually assist for, you know, any of the content that's been destroyed and machinery and equipment and those types of things there. So it's basically there will be two applicants, you know, the owner as well as the actual tenant that could actually apply. So, but they will be applying, one will be applying for the physical structure, and then the actual tenant who actually owns the business inside would be applying for the contents and machinery and equipment, all those things that have been impacted by the storm. So both could actually apply for loans.
So I guess the loan is dependent on each other?
No, they're separate from the perspective. Yeah, it's just that
Totally separate.
Yeah, totally separate. Yeah, so the business owner that has all the content
Right.
in it, everything that he is personally responsible for, he can actually apply for a loan for SBA for that. And then the actual business owner that actually owns the physical property, the structure, he would be able to actually apply for a loan that would help in repairing or replacing the actual structure.
So you call that kind of loan? What do you call that kind of loan?
What are business?
Both
Yeah.
business, physical.
Yeah, business physical, yeah.
Now I'm just thinking, what happens if the content loan, you know, that loan, if that doesn't get approved, what happens to the other loan?
Well, those are totally separate. Yeah, those are totally separate. Yeah.
That's separate because the business owner may not be able to operate at that location anymore.
Correct.
Right.
But he has that loan to move on to another
Right.
location, whereas the property owner
So
Right.
could apply for the loan and restore his or her property.
Which is a good point, because in some cases, we can do what is called relocation. If you want to
Right.
relocate your business, or if it's your primary residence, and you want to relocate your primary residence, we can work with you on that as well.
So the business loan obviously stays with the business and the other loan stays with the location?
Location, yes, correct. And that's very key too, because again, some of the challenges were, some people were holding and they're waiting on the landlord
Right.
to actually,
Yes.
yeah, we don't want anyone to wait.
Wait.
You can only do what you have the responsibility for.
Right.
So you continue to go ahead and move forward. Say, well, I'm waiting on the landlord. How many of you get in contact with them? They're stateside and we have other things. But meanwhile, your business is suffering right now and you're moving forward with your recovery. We want you to be able to do that because their option, as Matt stated, that it may require you to have to relocate because you can't make repairs to the physical business itself because unless you have the authority and you have all of that in place. So it may require you to have to look at some other options. So we're able to assist you with that should that be the next.
Suppose you have a lease with the owner, how that runs it. Then that's just a month-to-month payment, a lease.
Right.
So, but I mean, the property is still yours.
So you're
The
still
owner.
responsible to
The owner.
keep paying to the
So
owner.
who will be responsible?
The owner.
It depends.
A lot of times, and maybe that's what he was going to say, is a lot of times we would need to see the lease to determine what the lease says. And it may be that the operator of that business, the leasee, is responsible for the damages to the structure. It depends on what the lease says,
Okay, good.
okay?
Right.
So we
So
have,
the owner will be out
Yes.
at that point.
he could be.
Yeah, in case.
Yes.
Okay.
Or there may be certain things that he's
Right,
responsible for
right.
and not others. So again, your lease is always definitely, it's key for you to know and understand
It
it
was
even
in the
up
lease.
front as well too. What is your responsibility? Because you may be just thinking you're just simply leasing a space, but you may be taking on additional things that you weren't aware of until you're in a situation like this. So again, but your lease would help to determine who has what responsibility.
And hence my reason for asking you to explain it, because of a lot of cases we went out into the field, we came across that where we had much more tenants, and then the building actually was owned by someone else. And you'll find that a lot here in the Virgin Islands.
And that's where I want to go back to what I was repeating earlier. The disaster recoveries, the business recovery centers, everything that you've heard me say, everything that you've heard my counterparts, Matt and Kelvin say, those subject matter experts are at those recovery centers. They know what we're talking about. They understand all these ins and outs. And what Kelvin said, you don't know what you don't know, and you know what you know. If you go there and you have these types of questions, you just got to ask. I mean, the worst that anybody can ever say is no. Okay? But if you don't ask those particular questions about your situation, again, everybody's situation is different. Miss Heather, I know you have something. If you give me like 5 more minutes. So there's 2 more things I want to just touch base on as far as the rumor mill and things that are going on. Again,
Mele.
We have that Facebook page, and I highly encourage you to share that with all your friends, colleagues, everybody that's out there. There's a lot of information on there. We're going to start putting some what we call infographics on there that kind of explain things. There's some additional programs that are going to be coming out that are specific to this particular disaster. Not everybody's going to qualify for them. That rumor is that's out there. There's rumors out there that there's all these different initiatives that are coming out and different programs that are coming out because there's not a lot of housing here in the territories. Again, there's going to be qualification basis on there that by FEMA and the governor's office and FEMA and SBA, we look and see who's going to qualify for it. So if you hear of all these different programs out there, just follow the steps. Again, follow the process on how you see if you're going to be eligible for it. Again, not everybody's going to be eligible for those programs. The other one is the rumor that I've heard several times, and I know Kelvin has heard it, is everybody wants the free money, which is the FEMA grant monies. And a lot of people think that if they can just turn down the SBA loan, that they can just go to FEMA. They want to get to FEMA. So they don't want the SBA loan. They'll fill out the paperwork, they don't want it. They maybe are eligible for a lot of the loan monies, and they don't want the loan monies because they can get to the free monies. We've had to explain to people that if there's monies available by SBA, that's the option for your recovery. And if by turning down that option, that means that you're able to support yourself and help yourself recover. Okay? Because that's where FEMA and SBA has come across and said, okay, you qualify for this loan, here's your payment, this is what you can get to start your long-term recovery and building back your future. By turning down that option, it kind of just tells the federal government, tells everybody that I'm good right now. You got it.
Okay. Some people is praying that them guys could decline.
Yes.
Now,
if you get declined,
you wait on the money.
On the homeowner and the renter side, I mean, if you get turned down by SBA, you're going to come back to FEMA, and then again, we're going to work with our other federal partners. We're going to look at that other needs assistance and see what you're eligible for, and there's other entities out there that may have donated monies and stuff out there to help you with your recovery.
But you're entitled to get something.
Potentially, if you qualify.
It's not necessarily an entitlement.
Not an entitlement.
You're working on those lyrics, aren't you?
Now, with that, Ms. Heather, again, we were at a workshop, and the information that she was providing, I was like, the number of businesses that I'm going into, they need to know about what she does and what she's here on the island and what's available at no cost. So at this time, I'd like to be able to turn it over to her because this is some helpful information that not only for homeowners, but businesses, and for anyone that has had any type of water damage. And of course, we know that that's been territorial wide. She definitely can tell you what she does and how that actually works for this time now.
Okay. I work for the University of the Virgin Islands through an OSHA grant, but not the scary OSHA. Everybody hears that word and they go, or, yeah, exactly. That is it. I hear that all the time. OSHA, when it was founded, they actually did something very intelligent, and they realized that by having these health and safety laws, they needed to be able to help small businesses, because small businesses can't usually afford to have a full-time health and safety person. It's a big overhead cost to have somebody to do that job. And so they created what's known as OSHA consultation. And what that is all the states have it and we have it. And we are Safety in Paradise is the name of our program. And we can help any small business with their health and safety needs, and it's free service. It's a confidential service, so that's one of the reasons I can't go, well, these are my clients. But we help all small private businesses. We can't help governmental offices, but there is something under VIDOSH that is a different program, but they are the same, but for the governmental offices. So we are for private businesses, and we have helped some elderly care facilities before. Big problem with you guys is ergonomics. Trying to assist people, because picking up a human body is very different than picking up an equal weight of something in a square box. I'm an industrial hygienist. What that means is nothing to do with teeth. I do not clean teeth with fire hoses. I do nothing like that. Industrial hygiene is sort of it's an art and a science that we figure out what your long-term health risks would be. My coworkers, we have one on St. Thomas and one here, but we do go to all 3 islands. They cover more the safety aspect, which is your hard hats, your fall protection, electrical outlets, things like that. And right now we are in what's called intervention. And that means that we can help anybody. It's not a full visit where we go in, but we can give the information out there. As the recovery continues, we will go back to having, you have to fill out a request form, and then we go to your business, and then we do a visit. What has been very popular, one of the things that industrial hygienists do is indoor air quality. And right now, the indoor air quality questions are a-flying. And one of the things that is unique to the Virgin Islands, and I've lived quite a few places, is the inherent fear of mold. Because everybody here is sure that black mold is going to get them. And black mold is it doesn't matter what color the mold is. Mold is mold is mold. And there are companies out there that you can pay, and they'll come in and do a mold inspection, and they will they'll tell you, give us your money, and we'll tell you what your mold problems are. Unfortunately or fortunately, it really doesn't matter what type of mold is in your house or in your business. If it's more than what's outside, that's the only way that you can tell that you have a real problem. You don't necessarily need to know the species, you just need to know how to get rid of it. If something gets wet and you can't get it dry within 48 hours, and it's a porous surface, these leather chairs love to grow mold. Love it. Then you have to get rid of it. If your drywall gets wet and you can't get it dry within 48 hours, you have to have that part removed, plus 18 inches above where it got wet. So let's say you've got a nice little wet patch, you have to go all the way around. Happy to provide this information to any business out there. Right now, as an industrial hygienist, one of our tenets is that we work with public health. My program cannot technically work with homeowners. If you run your business out of your home, you can probably work something there, but one of our tenets is public health. So I'm happy to give information to anybody who requests it at this time. If you need help because your home is covered in mold, you can text me personally. My phone number is on my business card, 340-626-6565 for the magical taping, scary people out there. But yeah, so that's what we do. And I have a bunch of informational brochures, and please tell your friends. Indoor air quality, one thing that I keep finding on island, where a lot of us are using generators, carbon monoxide is an issue. It is a big issue. And because we don't have space heaters down here, it's not an issue that's very well publicized to the islands. I can do a quick carbon monoxide check. In any business, it'll take me about a minute and a half. This is
Check me.
it's not a personal check. It's an air check. See, I don't even know what the song's gonna be about the old lady with the air. Okay, it's happening. It's happening. It's gonna be all about Hedda. The song of Hedda. But a lot of places, they think they have indoor air quality issues, and I go in. You know, when you walk into a building, you know that musty smell. You're like, ooh, and you don't want to stay there. They got a problem. That's how you know they have a problem. But is that their biggest problem? Because I was in a business not that long ago, and they had a generator right outside a door, and they had an external door going into that office, and it was a sealed door. Well, I use the term seal loosely. It was a locked door that nobody used. That did not mean that it was clear. So I said, well, let me just double check. Outside next to the generator, they had, I think it was like 30 parts per million carbon monoxide. You don't really want to be working in that for 8 hours a day. It's kind of fun. But inside their office was 15 parts per million. And over time, that's going to build up. And so they're in there for 8 hours a day. They were concerned because they thought they smelled a musty odor. The musty odor is not going to kill them. Carbon monoxide could have built up and killed them. So these are things that yeah, a lot of people are concerned about things, but it's helpful to maybe broaden your approach. What else could be in there? So we are happy to help. That's what we're here for. We've reached out to all of our clients and been working with them, and we've just been randomly going out and giving information. The big thing with mold, because people here are so reactive to mold, I try to lessen, to make it not scary. It's because it's something we can work around. It's all about what you know and what you don't know. I've been playing with mold for many a year. What often happens is businesses get hurt and end up spending thousands of dollars on mold testing that may or may not have been necessary. We can do mold testing. If I go in and I say, well, you can't figure out where this is coming, I might then go further, but most times it's just, we have to remove the stuff that needs to be removed. We have to clean the stuff that can be cleaned. It's a forward thinking, I mean, it's just standard operating procedure for me, but then again, I've been doing it for 20 years. So, yeah.
I think for me, one of my biggest concerns with the mold is that in the rooms throughout the facility, I have the split unit, but my clients do not like the AC.
Okay.
So I'm constantly turning it on and off, on and off. And I always have this thing in the back of my head, am I creating mold? Is it what I'm doing is good? I'm so concerned about it. I think one of the comforting factor is that I have very little sheetrock.
And I approve very little sheetrock. Carpeting and sheetrock are, in my humble opinion, that is my opinion. If I can't clean it, I don't want it in my house.
Very little. So that has just been my biggest thing forever and ever and ever. Am I doing the damage by turning off the units? Because then the rooms get hot, you walk in there like, it knocks you out and they're fine. Oh, it's cold in here, like 90 degrees. And then you turn on the air. So is that something I should be concerned about?
Well,
creating mold?
the interesting thing about cooler temperatures and dry, because air conditionings do dry out a room and they create a cooler temperature. Do you ever take a nice cold glass of soda or water and you put it in a hot room? You see that condensation that occurs? A lot of places that have ducted air conditioning, especially in some of the older buildings that were never made to be air conditioned and then they resealed them. If the ducting isn't perfect, and making ducting perfect is an art and a science in and of itself, but if it is not insulated well, you get that nice cold air flowing through a tube, and then you get condensation on the outside of that tube, then that water will drip and joyfully, if you have water and you have oxygen, you have mold. It's a glorious thing. And the other thing is with the split units, you have to clean those filters often. And you have to have, it's all about maintenance. And people love to come down from the States and sell us the newest, fanciest of things. But if we can't maintain that, then...
So should I do more than once a month? Because I'm cleaning the filters once a month.
That is a perfect schedule as long as you're not having any issues. But sometimes those split units, after they've had a lot of buildup in them and they need to be cleaned, and they can end up dripping water from them. Again, you get water, you got oxygen, you got mold. So as long as you're maintaining your split units and you don't see any visible mold growth and you're not smelling anything,
But you know, I'm just so
well, you are a very
paranoid about it. I'm
conscientious.
so paranoid about it.
You are
That and the carbon from the generator, even though it's
carbon monoxide, yes.
way away from the property, I'm still super conscious. I do have the detectors, the carbon monoxide detectors in the
Look
property.
at you.
But I'm still so conscious about
Also, I
it,
kind
you
of
know,
want to hug you a little bit. That's amazing. That's
It's just
good.
the things that I worry about.
The big thing is, especially with generators, is our wind here most of the time comes out of the east. It occasionally we go a little northeast, sometimes a little southeast, but it's coming out of the east unless there's a hurricane and then, you know, all bets are off. We got tornadoes in our backyard, but whatever. But, so you want to make sure that you are downwind of your property. So where is it located? Is it located?
Yeah, it's down, because we're on a slope.
Okay.
We're on a slope, and so the generator is, how many feet, Mommy? Far.
Okay.
From the
That's
property.
great. Where I don't like to encourage people to do is to put it on the downwind side of their house right next to their neighbor's window. That's something that, this is not
No,
a,
they don't have neighbors.
yeah, then you're, as long as you, that's a good way to keep an eye on airflow, okay, things like that. But we always worry about the foreign things because with familiarity comes contempt. Are you this concerned about your propane stoves?
I am.
Of course, I just said you're very anxious person, but I love it. No, these are good things.
Well, you know, because of the demographic that I serve, you know, they're not as,
Yeah, no.
you know, they're not going to say, so I have
Sense
to
of
be
smell
overly
as you get
conscious,
older
yeah.
is going to be reduced,
course,
and
of course.
hearing is reduced
So I'm
as you
very
get
concerned
older.
about that too.
Absolutely. But yes, a lot of propane leaks and things like that can also asphyxiate if you have a sealed room. So there's things you can do, but it sounds like you have everything pretty well organized and under control, but I'm happy
Of course, you can go out and see.
to help you. I would love it.
Sleep better.
Oh yeah, and that's what's kind of cool is we're sent to the same training as OSHA enforcement. So they send us to the exact same trainings and things like that. And so we know what they're looking for. So when we come in to help a business, we're like, okay. And there are times where okay, we're gonna stop right here. We're gonna look at this little office you're in because we saw a lot on our way in. Let's work to fix those things and then we'll expand. We don't ever go in to try to go, okay, we're gonna ruin your business. We want to help. We're here, we're literally here to help. But everybody hears OSHA and they go,
Yeah, that's very true.
I have people on the street going, I had somebody go, I've got eye protection on. I'm like, I was going to Kmart. I don't even know you. How are you that?
You do put the fear of God in
But it's not me, I swear. Yeah, so, but indoor air quality has really given me a lot of, I've been able to find more clients to help and things like that. Even just meeting people doing laundry, you know, that 10 p.m. laundry. People are talking to me about the problems they're having at work, or they've hurt their back because they've done this, and they just need maybe a different set of eyes. Because you can look at everything in a room, but if you've been in that room every day, we don't see our own mess until somebody comes into our house and we're like, "Ooh, boy, I need to reorganize that room." You know, you don't see it because you see it every day. So just having a second set of eyes, or a third set, or yeah. So, any questions?
I have to get rid of my chair now. I'm hearing you say.
No.
I went to the chair and it was. I'm like, what? That's how I know I had mold because I went into the closet
Oh, listen.
and the shoes were a different color.
Yes.
Leather, you know.
Leather.
So I just got rid of the shoe, no problem. But I refused to separate from the chair. So I did my best to clean it, and now it looks great. But I'm listening to him like, oh my God, do I have to get rid of the chair?
If it's a porous surface,
Oh,
now
Lord.
listen, you're preaching to the choir. I have the most beautiful saddleback leather satchel that got wet in a closet during the hurricane, and then it was green. And I said, I still haven't got rid of it yet. It makes you feel any better. I've bleached it. I put it outside in the sun. I'm like, come on, UV light, do me a favor. And it still keeps coming back. So I'm gonna have to let it go.
I have not, since I cleaned it up and I dried it, I have not seen it.
And it could very well be that you got it dried out within that time frame that you needed to have it dried out with. But anywhere that isn't got movement, no airflow, things like that, closets were big on. You've opened your closet and gone, oh, remember those shoes? Because anything you're not moving around, it's things are
It
gonna build up.
surprised me though, and I was so sure, like, okay, I'm living in island now, I gotta protect myself. So I had everything in bins and sealed bins.
Oh, yeah.
And that surprised me because I'm like, no, there's still stuff in here because I'm not feeling well. So when I opened the bins, I was so shocked because I had this.
You thought it was all hermetically sealed, but it's not sealed. And
So
because
that I
when you
learned.
put things in, when you have a new product, you ever notice the little silica packets that come in
Yes,
addition?
yes.
Okay, silica has its own issues, so it's not perfect. Please know that. But that is used to keep the items looking and smelling new. It's removing all the moisture and sucking it in. Silica is a magical substance that it's like a parking lot. And all of your volatile organic compounds love to just park in that parking lot and fill it up. And that's including moisture and it just sucks it all in. And yeah, so it's great stuff. And it's actually reusable. You can microwave or bake those packets. And it'll dry them out and then they can re-dry again. Yeah, I know. I'm, like I said, a font of useless knowledge. Yeah.
So I put that in a box with the bag.
Yes, in fact, I recommend doing that. You can actually buy boxes of those things on eBay.
So I don't have to buy it down for it anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Danford is an amazing product for what it is. I don't love it. And the reason I don't love it is, number one, it's not reusable.
Yeah.
Number two, you're pulling water out, but then it's still in the bucket.
Yeah.
So you still have
I
moisture
was
that's
trying
going
to
to
process that.
evaporate back into the space. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you gotta change them out. You know, I love Danford for vehicles.
Yeah.
Like, you know those hanging closet ones? Let's say you're gonna close up your car for a week or so. Hang one of those in, and you open your car at the end of the week, and you know you got a bag of water at the bottom and the thing, and then you can just throw that away. But it really does make the car smell a lot cleaner and smell fresher. But that's my favorite damper to use. Everything has its purpose, but not everything is good for you.
Right?
A lot of
Right
great
in paradise.
information. I know, right? So
I am here.
I hope everybody has learned something today, and I hope you've been able to ask all of your questions. We're going to try to wrap up a little bit now. I would like Monique to be able to speak about some of the programs that EDA has in regards to if you are denied by SBA or FEMA. And this is for small businesses. This is not for personal property or your personal residence because, of course, we deal with just small business community. So, Monique?
Yes. Good afternoon again. My name is Monique Samuel. I am the Senior Loan Officer of the Economic Development Bank. It's an entity, one of the entities under the Economic Development Authority. As you've heard from the speakers here, Chad from FEMA and Matt and Kelvin from SBA and Heather, you have gathered a lot of information as to their process. How we will come into play is that if, for example, you're not able to get assistance, not so much from the FEMA, but from SBA, because we are a secondary lender and we're not allowed to compete with the local banks, it is kind of maybe sounding disappointing that you will have to go through a second process of denial. So we cannot take into consideration the SBA denial for your business because that's more disaster related. So our program will require you to go to a local lender prior to coming to us for that financing. So you have to go through your entire process, even if it's damages caused by the storm, or maybe you were just thinking at the time prior to the storm, like Kelvin mentioned, you know, starting your business, you may have started some of the repair work, you've already entered into the lease agreement, you may have paid maybe a month or two on that lease and so forth. We can assist, but how can we assist? We come behind a local bank, a bank that has said to you, no. You have gone through the entire process, and that bank has said to you, no. We cannot assist you for this amount, for this purpose, and so forth. That is where you can come to our door for that financing. We are in fact a secondary lender and not a first lender by law, regardless of what you hear in the community. We can assist startup businesses or existing businesses, businesses that may need to take on additional employees because you've grown, or you're thinking of expanding your product line and your services and so forth. That is where we can come in. We can lend anywhere from as low as $2,000 to $500,000. We have various interest rates based on a number of our programs. Okay, we can assist taxi drivers. And I'm only giving examples from what we have here in our community. restaurants, maybe you may be in IT or accounting, you know, a farmer, a fisherman, you know, we can assist any business that is, you know, to the benefits our economy, okay? Our interest rate varies. It can go as low as 4%, 5%, or even the Wall Street Journal prime rate plus 1.5%. Yes, we do look at credit. We do take credit into consideration. We require a business plan. So our process is much more different from that of SBA, but a lot of our eligibility requirements mirror that of SBA regular loan programs, not the disaster loan program. The disaster loan program is to assist with the natural disaster, whereas our program is there to assist with your everyday. So whether it's disaster related or just maybe an everyday business need, that is where we can come in. You know, forget about what you've been hearing in the community. We are here to assist those businesses that the bank would refuse in assistance. So if you are able to get assistance from the bank, that means that you are bankable. You do not need EDA's financing, right? And we do receive monies from various government entities. We receive monies locally, and of course we receive monies federally. We do receive with Chris sitting here, we do receive some of our funding from the U.S. Economic Development Administration. We receive some of our funding from USDA. So for farmers and fishermen that have gone to the USDA, because they wouldn't be eligible directly under SBA, am I correct? So there is assistance there for you through the USDA program. So if you've gone out to, you know, obtain assistance for your business, whether it be on a day-by-day or even a disaster, we are here as a second option. So the doors aren't entirely closed for you. So I like when you mention there are different areas or different avenues that businesses can receive assistance. So if FEMA or even SB or any of the other entities here on island for the 6 or whatever amount of months is not or isn't in a position to assist you, the U.S. Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority, Economic Development Bank can find ways to assist our small businesses here within the territory. So if you're outside of the territory, our funding, it is a no. And if your business is established here in the Virgin Islands, it is a yes. You can come to our doors for assistance. However, we do have residency requirements. There's programs where you have to be a resident of the Virgin Islands either 5 years or either 10 years, depending on where we're getting our funding from. Okay, so we do have programs available if in the event SBA is not in a position to assist you. Okay, and we have no control of what decision SBA makes. What we do, we're just partnering because some of our programs is funded by SBA as well as USDA. So we're just here continuing our partnership, carrying them door to door throughout the community, because sometimes when local business owner sees a local face, they're comfortable, and sometimes they continue with the rumor mill instead of getting the information directly. So we are here to assist, and again, if Cusa didn't mention, we have 2 offices. We have one on St. Thomas in the Niski Center, and it's on the 2nd floor on St. Thomas, and we have our second office here on St. Croix in Frederiksted on King Street, and our physical location for that Frederiksted office is number 4 King Street, whereas on St. Thomas, correct me if I'm mistaken, is 8000 Niski Center on the 2nd floor. Okay, and right now our
3
telephone,
locations.
And then of course we have our
Forgot me. Forgot my office.
Well, we can also meet our clients. Thank you, Cusa. We can also meet, if you cannot visit our office on St. Thomas or our Frederiksted office, this is another location for us at the our industrial park, and we can meet our clients here as well. So we have a midpoint, one on the other island and one in the west end. Okay, and we partner with different entities like Small Business Development Center as well. So they are very versed, or must I say, familiar with the programs that we provide, our services and so forth. Okay, so if you have any questions, our office on St. Thomas, the telephone number is 340-714-1700, and on St. Croix, our telephone number, which right now is not in service, 340-773-6499. I do have my business card here. And the best way to reach us right now is by email. Okay, so we'll, Cusa has some information that she has shared with you, and you can utilize that as well. Thank you.
So as we're wrapping up, any last words from SBA, FEMA?
So one thing the last thing I wanna say, is the IRS. Okay. So I heard earlier when we were discussing about the IRS. The IRS also has programs available that can help out with business owners, homeowners, renters on,
Internal Revenue Service?
yes, they have
I
programs.
thought they only took money.
So there's programs available, and there's ways that you can write off disaster damages through your IRS. So I recommend, as you're keeping track of all your documentation, not a lot of people are aware of the IRS's assistance. Everybody thinks they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
But they are another asset whenever there's a disaster. They have programs in place. You just need to talk to your tax person, your tax representative that you work with, regardless if you're a business owner or a homeowner, and ask them, say, hey, I was impacted by Hurricane Maria and Irma, and I have all this going on and that going on. Is there anything? And they have programs available that may be.
Is there since they didn't send anybody, is there a limit that you may claim in terms of?
I can't answer
Gotta go to
that.
the tax person.
Yeah, have to talk to whoever prepares your taxes for you. They'll be able to.
Yes. So as I say, and we talked about it earlier, it's not just about FEMA. We work. There's the IRS. There's the EDA. There's SBA.
Department of Labor.
There's the
You can say
the health.
you can say the word, it's fine.
Nice ocean.
There's OSHA, the Department of Health and Human Services. A lot of people think that everything comes from FEMA. FEMA's not in the mold business. FEMA's not in the carbon monoxide business. All the information we get, we share it. That's part of my job as a public affairs person for FEMA. But our information comes from the Department of Health and Human Services. It comes from the EPA. It's not just FEMA. It's a big family. We have a lot of pieces in this family that has a lot of things to offer. Again, it's just digging into it and tapping into those resources. My ask of you all here, you're all local here, is that nobody knows who Chad is. They know who you are. You all live here, you all have family, you all have friends, everybody knows everybody. Nobody knows who Chad is, nobody knows who Matt and Kelvin are.
Are you sure?
And Chris.
I feel like Kevin and I are like this now.
I've been here for 3 months. I've been doing a lot of work with the Chambers of Commerce, with Cusa, and so, the Small Business Development Corporation, our media folks. We've been working with them. We're asking you all now to go out and inform people.
I'm trying to get this information, just so you know. I ain't saying every 2 hours for free.
Kelvin, is there any last words for you?
Again, thank you all for putting this together, because for us, it's about leaving the territory better than when we found it. And again, it's a beautiful place, the people are beautiful, and again, the Virgin Islands is going to be much stronger, much more prepared, and again, it starts here, but it continues even after we leave. So again, thank you for this opportunity. Thanks, Doug, for filming, for taping, for doing all the things that you do and being that voice on a consistent basis. And again, when we all work together, we dispel the melee, and we make things better for everyone. So again, thank you so much for inviting us and for putting this on.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I really appreciated this myself too. I got some information that I will share. And I learned about it I got an email from SBDC, and then I heard it on Doug's show as well. So I had to be here to get good information. So thank the panel for being here.
Thank you so much for coming. We'd like to thank everyone for coming, our presenters and everyone from the community who came out. Doug, thank you so much for coming and taping, so that way the individuals who are not here to get the information, they can definitely get the information. Some very, very important information, just to reiterate, deadline January 8th, 2018. The DRCs are still open. We have 4 on St. Croix. Christian said at the St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Castle Copley, right behind the Sign Farm gas station. Frederickson at the Rotary Club West, right behind the old ballpark. Christians at the old post office building in Company Street, right across from the Steeple building. And of course, we know that the Cotton Valley one is closed now. But then we also have another area that is still open, which is the Business Resource Center for SBA, that's in Sign Farm,
Yes.
right next to SBDC. I think the address is 4100 Sign Farm.
Correct.
And that is specifically just for small business owners to go in. There's usually no line, no waiting. You can go in and get all your questions answered. Please note that if you are denied by SBA, you can always go to any one of those centers and get an answer and find out what is your next level of recourse. What can I do to appeal? What other options are there for you? And also please remember that EDA, the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority, or VIEDA, is still an option for you, as well as Monique enlisted with all of different programs and sources. So thank you all so much for coming, especially on a Saturday, taking time out of your Saturday. And we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I have a ton of handouts. And we have anything that is interesting to them.
Yes, we have a lot of handouts here on the table as well, so please take as many handouts to share. Lots of information.
Happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays to everyone else too.
I enjoy.